הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים. Shabbat Shalom. We're going to get started with our service this morning. We welcome everyone who is here in attendance with us, and of course, everyone in our virtual sanctuary. For those who are joining us on Zoom, please know that we have several screens out here so we can see you in all directions, and we look forward to having you be active Zoom participants in our service. We begin this morning with words that seem most appropriate on a Shabbat morning like this. Hinei ma tov, indeed how good and how pleasant it is for us to be together on this Shabbat morning. Hinei ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. 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 Hinei ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
It is so good, so tov to be here in this space as we celebrate not just Shabbat, but we celebrate as Jonah Elias Orlando becomes a bar mitzvah in this family and in our community at large. It is a good day. Shabbat Shalom to everyone who is here in our sanctuary this beautiful day, our sanctuary this morning outside, and of course to all who are Zooming in. If you just joined us, you missed the cantor saying that we actually have pretty large screens. You might be able to see it right now over here and another one back there, so that those who are present can absolutely see you. So we look forward to seeing your beautiful faces and your joy. We encourage you to sing along, especially on the screens. We can see you doing just that. Of course, you at home are not experiencing the wind that we are in this very moment. So just a note to those who are here present with us in the space, we love that everyone is wearing a mask. We want to encourage you to do so throughout our service. And of course, we stay in our pods, we stay distancing for the safety of all. Our facilities are right down the hall right there if you need them. And we encourage you, if you have a cell phone, to turn it off, put it in a pocket, put it away. This is a great time just to be fully present in this moment. We'll have this beautiful recording after the fact and allows us, our hearts and our souls, to be truly here on this day. So to help us get started, we are going to start with something quite special, quite sacred, which is the presentation of our talit, of our prayer shawl. Traditionally, when we reach the age of 13 in our tradition, we wear a talit, a prayer shawl. It is a symbol of the responsibility on which we are taking upon ourselves, and we are joining the rest of the Jewish people in taking on as well. It's also an embrace of our community, an embrace of the sacred one, if you so choose. And in this moment, it is a beautiful gift from parents to their sons. We want to invite you, Jonah, to come on up along with your parents, Rachel and Joe. Okay.
My beautiful, gorgeous Jonah Elias Clemente Oz Orlando. We love you so very much, and we are so incredibly proud of who you are and the love you carry in your heart. From the moment you busted on the scene, and you busted on early, as I recall, you have filled our heart and home with wild, joyous energy and boundless love. Whether it's your dance moves, your rap songs, your sense of style, or your original culinary creations, you bring creativity, passion, flair, and your personality to everything you do. You have a sharp mind and a keen sense of timing. You can write a paragraph that would bring the most hard-hearted readers to tears, and you are a danger on the basketball court with your pump fake and your stylized crossover, and you have some killer chess moves that get me every single time. But beyond all that, beyond the wild child who is down for whatever you or anyone else can dream up, and the sweet child who is willing to amuse me with back-to-back nose-to-nose staring contests, you have a superpower. You have a huge heart that is open and that guides you in all you do, whether it be keeping a watchful eye out for a friend or helping out someone you see on the street. I know it is the power of your love and the depth of your empathy that will shape your journey as you grow up to be the mensch you already are. As we give you this talit, I pray you feel our love and the hopes and aspirations of our ancestors as you wrap it around you. And may it bring you comfort that no matter where we are, we will. And may it bring you comfort that no matter where we are, we will always be with you for all the days of your life. I love you.
Jonah, I love you with all my heart. As a little boy, you always had style, your own way of doing things. You wore do-rags, leather jackets, and even posed with samurai swords. Now you've grown into this smart, artistic, caring person, and it's been a great ride so far. I remember a family trip to Death Valley, and you and I were leaning forward, and the wind was blowing so fiercely that it held us up. Or the Oregon trip, whitewater rafting, and we all jumped off a cliff into the cold water below to get into our boat to start the adventure. Or the driveway basketball games, where you and I would deploy our X-Factor defense against your brother Isaiah. I will miss the little boy who danced with me in the kitchen, but I look forward to the marvelous milestones in your future. And today, your bar mitzvah is one of those big steps in your life. Next, in a short while, you'll be starting high school. You've done a great job coping during these COVID times, and the days ahead are starting to return to normal. Thank you, Jonah. I've enjoyed the first 14 years of your e-ticket ride and can't wait to see and hear about what one wonderful thing you did each day, each week, each month, each year. I love you to the moon and back.
Whoops.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahitatev b'titzeh.
Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehecheyanu v'kiyemanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
Such a beautiful blessing. Those words translate to, "Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who has given us life, sustained us, and allowed us to reach this very moment, this sacred moment." And so now that sacred moment continues as we invite Jonah to help lead us in our prayer. He will lead us in Chatzi Kaddish.
Yitgadal Yitgada Shemei Rabbah,
Amen.
Be'alma divrahute, ve'amlik mahute, behemehon, uvyemehon, uvheya bet Israel, bagala uzman kariv, ve'meru. Amen. Yehi Shemei Rabbah mevorah, le'olam ulalmei almaya, yitbarach. Yitba'ar v'yishtabar v'yitroman v'yitra'ar v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitalal v'yithalal Shemei Kudashah Urehu Le'al min korbirata v'shirata Tushbirata v'nemeta Ba'miran be'alma v'meru. Amen.
We invite those who are able to rise in body and spirit for our call to worship, our Baruch Hu.
Baruch
Baruch Hu
et Adonai
HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed.
If we are able, we remain standing for just a moment because we'll share the words of Shema again in just a moment. But first, we hear a reading by your uncles, by Mark and David Peniagua, who I know are joining us via Zoom.
Thank you. Can you hear?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Jonah, we're very proud of you and we love the person you're becoming. You are praised, who rolls out of the rough, raw clay of the universe into delicate vessels of light. And from nothing at all, we could perceive in a world that has turned old, a shimmering new creation right before our eyes made this moment just for us.
How much of life reveals your presence? How much Torah unfolds with each new flower, with each new wave that breaks upon the sea? You are praised. Who formed from the clay that clothed our lives, the delicate vessels in our life. Love you, John.
So those blessings of creation all around us. We invite you, if you have a talit, to take those tzitzit that are at the four corners, and we bring them into one hand, the purpose of which is that each one of these strings and the way that they are knotted together, when we add them up in a very particular way, according to our tradition, we get the number 613 for the 613 commandments, reminding us, even as we sing the song of faith, the song of Shema, we are also commanded to act in the same. So faith and action, they go hand in hand. And so we sing now the words of Shema.
Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed.
Please be seated. We continue now with words of Ve'ahavta.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך, בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך, ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Our next prayer, Micha Mocha, is a song that evokes Passover. And as we know, we've been paying attention to our calendar, but I know calendars are very strange these days. But Passover is on the horizon, a chance to cross over. That's what that song is about. Passover is all about crossing over into new freedoms and new responsibilities. How apt a prayer to sing in this moment, right? As our country is beginning to pivot into new possibilities and new freedoms. But it's also an apt prayer for this moment for you, Jonah, as you two cross over, as you become a bar mitzvah and you take on the new responsibilities and freedoms that this moment requires of you. Let us sing the song of Micha Mocha now.
הים יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. צור ישראל קומה בעזרת ישראל ופדחנו מך יהודה וישראל גואלנו אדוני צבאות שמו קדוש ישראל ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
We rise one more time for the words of the Amidah, our standing prayer.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agita hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך כל הארץ, כבודו. אדיר, אדירנו אדוני, אדוננו מאדיר, שמך בכל הארץ, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון, לדור ודור, הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Let us be seated as we continue, each one of us finding those prayers that are inside. It is a time for personal and private prayer.
We're going to turn our attention back to our Zoom screen, and we're going to spotlight Billy June Damon and Diane Seichert. So we're going to wait just a moment until we have them spotlit on our screen, so don't start reading just yet. Great. And if you're unmuted whenever you're ready. Oop, we lost you. 1 second.
Hello?
There we go.
Where am you?
Great. Please share with us. Oh, I don't know why that keeps happening. Please.
We often pray for what we've never known and humanity has never known. Unbroken peace, unmixed blessing? No. Better to pray for pity, for indignation, discontent, the will to see and touch, the power to do good and make new. Barak atah Adonai, Ham Barak Amo Israel Bashalom.
Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us all the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of our world. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hollow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Adonai, who blesses your people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, Hambrech et Amo Israel Bashalom.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing those beautiful prayers of peace with us. And now we punctuate that singing the words of Oseh Shalom, asking God, who makes peace in the heavens, to allow peace to descend here on us on earth. Oseh Shalom bimromav, uyaseh Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru, amen. Oseh Shalom bimromav, uyaseh Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru, amen. Yahaseh Shalom, Yahaseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, Yahaseh Shalom, Yahaseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, Yahaseh Shalom, Yahaseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, Yahaseh Shalom, Yahaseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, Yahaseh Shalom, Yahaseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. We arrive now really at the pinnacle of our service, the Torah service, the moment that we will take our holiest teaching out of the ark, and eventually it will land in Jonah's arms. He will hold it, and we'll talk a little bit about that ritual in just a moment. So we're going to participate in a ritual we call passing the Torah Lador Vador, from generation to generation. And that's going to include people both on Zoom as well as in person. And so in person, I'm going to invite up Jonah's parents, Joe and Rachel, and Jonah's brother Isaiah, to come and line up. And in a moment, we'll also be spotlighting on our Zoom screen. We'll be spotlighting Adam Berger, Gideon and Paul Berger, Rima Berzin, Sharna Berzin Nicholson, and Jody Rossi. So that's just a little heads up, if I mention your name, that you are going to be on screen soon. We will take care of spotlighting each and every one of you. Jonah, in just a moment, as you know, we're going to place this Torah scroll in your arms. And what a journey this Torah has gone on, from receiving it at Mount Sinai until it reaches you on this day. And how amazing you have shown such incredible perseverance in a really difficult time. But this has been who we are as a Jewish people. There have been many times in our history where maybe things didn't go quite as planned. But the amazing thing is that Torah has stayed alive. And that's what you're doing today, even amidst the pandemic, even amidst the challenges we're facing. You are ensuring that Torah will stay alive, that Torah will reach that next generation. And what an amazing gift that is. You are a gift. You are a gift to your family, and you are a gift to our community, and you are a gift to the Jewish people for ensuring that our tradition will continue for generations and generations to come. And so, Isaiah, I'm going to have you go ahead and take the Torah out and just hold it for just a moment. And we're going to spotlight starting with...
Please rise.
With Adam Berger on the screen. And we're going to move through all of those people. And then, Isaiah, when I cue you, you'll go ahead and pass it through the generations that are here in person. We are gifts, and we are blessings. We are history in song. We are hope, and we are healing. We are learning to be strong. We are words, and we are stories. We are pictures of the past. We are carriers of wisdom, not the first and not the last. The door of our door. protect this chain from generation to generation. Le door vador, these lips will praise your name. Jonah, I'm going to have you hold that Torah nice and high so that it's up on your shoulder. And if we could bring the podium back so Jonah can lead us in the Shema before we undress the Torah scroll.
Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Elhad, Elhad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
Beautiful. So now we'll move the podium to the side, and we'll move both of the bars to hold the Torah, and Jonah and his family will undress the Torah scroll. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kodsho. Please be seated, and we'll invite Jonah's family to go back to their seats for now as the rabbi introduces the portion.
So, Jonah, you have not just one, as I know you know, but you have two Torah portions. This is a very special week where we get to have two Torah portions right in a row. In fact, they're the very last two portions from the book of Exodus, the book of Shmot, Vayachel, and Pikudei. And in these portions, as he will describe a little bit of in just a little bit, we are going to hear about the clothing of our priests. We're going to hear about how we set up our sanctuary, this portable sanctuary that moves from place to place. It is indeed how we have holiness on our bodies, how we have holiness in the space around us. And after Jonah has an opportunity to share the words of Torah with us in Hebrew, I will share the translations as we go, and then he will have the opportunity to share his interpretation, his personal teaching with all of us today. And we are so excited for just that.
We'll turn now to the first Aliyah. For the first Aliyah, we're going to turn to Zoom. We're going to spotlight Jonah's cousins, Rima Berzin, Sharna Berzin Nicholson, and Jody Rossi. So just wait a moment. I'll let you know when we can all see you on the screen. We're almost there. There is everyone. So whenever you're ready, I know we're going to have a little bit of a delay, but please, with full voice and full heart, please lead us in the blessing before the Torah. Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher ba'atani v'natan banu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayath et haephod zav tehelet ve'avgaman v'tolah shoni v'shesh moshzar vayeraku et bahei hazav v'kitchet petolim la'asos Beho hatehele uvto hagaman uvto tolat hashani uvto hashesh maase hoshev ketefod asulo hoverot al shene ketzotav horba.
And the ephod, this piece of priestly clothing, was made of gold and blue and purple and crimson yarns and fine twisted linen. They hammered out sheets of gold and cut threads to be worked into designs among the blue, the purple, and the crimson yarns and the fine linen. They made for it attaching shoulder pieces, and those were attached at its two ends. And
Now we'll invite you to chant the blessing after.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah temet, v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. Thank you so much. What a joy to have you be able to join us. And I would guess perhaps after the pandemic is over, you might start making the bar mitzvah circuit. That was beautiful. Thank you so much. And now we're going to call for the second aliyah, Gideon and Paul Berger. Whenever you're ready, we'll have you chant the blessing before.
Forgot to unmute. Baruchu et Adonai Hamavarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamavarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Veheshe afutahot asher Allah mimenu hu kema'aseu zav tehelet ve'avgaman v'tola shoni v'shesh moshzar ka'asher tizva Adonai et Moshe.
the decorated band that was upon it was made like it, of one piece with it, of gold, blue, purple, and crimson yarns, and fine twisted linen, as God had commanded Moses.
And so Gideon will pass it back to you for the blessing after.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chalei olam betachenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. Yasher Koach, beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for adding your blessing to our service. For the third aliyah, now we are going to be here in person. We call on Jonah's mother Rachel and brother Isaiah. Ya'amdu ha'olim la'aliyah la'torah.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vaya'asu et amei Hasham musabot mishbet zov zahav miputahot pitu her hotam al shenemot B'nei Israel. Vayasim otam al kefod ha'efod avnei zikaron livnei Israel ka'asher tizva Adonai et Moshe.
Beautiful. They bordered the lazuli stones with frames of gold, engraved with seal engravings the names of the sons of Israel. They were set on the shoulder pieces of the ephod as stones of remembrance for the Israelites, as God had commanded Moses.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'hei olam matav b'tohenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. You can give him a hug. And now for the fourth aliyah, we call on Jonah for the very first time as a bar mitzvah. Yamod, 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 Habachur bar ha-mitzvah hazak.
Baruch Adonai Hamevorah.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai notem haTorah.
Amen.
Vayas et ha'hoshem kema'aseh hoshev kema'aseh fod zav tehelet ve'yavgaman betola'a shoni ve'shesh moshzar.
And the breastplate was made in the style of the ephod of gold, blue, purple, and crimson yarns and fine twisted linens. And now it's all yours, Jonah.
Baruch atah Adonai Hamevorah
Baruch atah Adonai.
Baruch atah Adonai Hamvarach le'olam Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'hayei olam nata betohenu. Baruch atah Adonai notem haTorah.
Amen. Jonah, Yasher Koach, amazing chanting from you this morning, an amazing opportunity to bring new light and new life to our Torah. And now I'm going to call on Mindy Matais and Nicole Mazar, who are going to share with you now a blessing on this occasion of you becoming bar mitzvah.
Jonah, may you live to see your world fulfilled. May your destiny be for worlds still to come, and may you trust in generations past and yet to be. May your heart be filled with intuition, and your words be rich in understanding. May songs of praise ever be on your tongue, and your vision clarify a straight path before you.
May your eyes shine with the light of the Torah, and your face reflect the brightness of the heavens. May your lips ever speak wisdom, and your fulfillment be in righteousness, even as you ever yearn to hear the words of the Ancient One of Holiness. Thank you.
There's a lot of blessing all around us and strength from this community, from our words of Torah. And so with, of course, those blessings all around and Torah out in front of us, we take this opportunity to ask for a prayer of healing, to join together in a prayer of healing for all who need it. At this time especially, we think of all of those who are suffering with COVID-19, and of course for their family members and their extending circles going out, for all who care for them, and of course for all who are mourning as well. We wish that they find healing at this time.
Bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
So we invite our kahal, our community gathered here, to rise one more time as we prepare to return the Torah to the Ark. We invite forward anyone who is helping us.
So we'll invite up Jonah's parents and brother to help us dress the Torah. Ashlosha devarim, Ashlosha devarim, Ashlosha devarim, haolam omed, Ashlosha devarim, Ashlosha devarim, Ashlosha devarim, haolam omed. And Isaiah will invite you to come around the other side of the table to lift the Torah and return it to the Ark. Jonah, I'll invite you to open the Ark doors. It's time here, lama chazikim ba, v'tomacheha me'ushar deracheha darchenoam v'chol nativoteha shalom. Hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva chadesh yameinu kekedem. Please be seated. And now we will hear from Jonah as he teaches from this week's Torah portion.
Shabbat Shalom. Words have different meanings. The meanings of words can change over time. For example, in the late 1300s, the word naughty referred to poor and needy people. But the word's meaning changed, and since the late 1600s, its meaning stems from disobedience and mischievousness. Or take the word nice. It originally was a negative term, meaning stupid or arrogant, but as time passed, the word changed into a term of endearment. If these words can change, I believe the meaning of God's words can change too. In my Torah portion, God speaks to Moses about how to make special clothes for the high priest, a person who leads the community in rituals and also performs sacrifices. This was clothing like the ephod, a sleeveless garment worn by the high priest. or a breastplate he wore that held gems and other rare stones. These were all holy to God. This clothing had a lot of meaning and was very rare and precious. People wear nice clothes today to signify how important to signify how important an event or a person is. For example, I'm wearing a coat, a jacket, a yarmulke, and a talit to signify the importance of today. This translates to my Torah portion because we are reminded of how important clothing can be. When God commanded Moses to create these garments, the intention was to single out the high priest and to have the high priest feel closer to God. But as the years passed, we no longer have the high priest in our temple, and people have begun to reimagine the uses of the clothes for the high priest. In fact, today, we use the ideas behind these clothes to dress the Torah. Traditionally, the Torah is dressed in crowns, bells, and jewels, just as the high priest was. Just as the meaning of these words have changed over time, the use of the ephod and all the high priest's clothing have changed as well. One of the uses of these clothes is to get a connection closer to God. However, our thinking about how we connect to God is changing. We realize that connecting to God is not predicated on wearing nice clothes and being in a close proximity to the Torah. While these are beautiful traditions and have a great deal of connection to our history, they are not fundamental to our relationship with God or living a godly life. Connecting to God is about being true to yourself, whether you can afford nice clothes or not. Having a connection to God should be about your ideology and moral compass, not about your income and social status. To me, connecting to God is about living a spiritually righteous life and the practice of tikkun olam, also known as repair the world. It's the idea that helping your fellow humans and being a good steward on this earth is the best and most righteous way to live. Tikkun olam can be large endeavors, such as ending war, combating global warming, and fighting against world hunger. Yet small actions among friends can also be an example of tikkun olam. Telling a joke to a friend that's sad, or listening to someone who feels unheard. Taking care of the people around us in our communities is important in my life. One way I show care is through a class called peer tutoring. For the last 2 years, I have been working and aiding students with special needs at Stanley Middle School by helping them with assignments and their social skills. I would help kids communicate, whether they were verbal or not. I was also there to help with tasks, such as watering the plants and walking students to the office to hand in attendance. I really enjoy this class because it allowed me to help and talk to people I wouldn't usually have the chance to teach. Helping people learn and helping people with all aspects of their life is an important step in becoming a kind and loving Jewish adult. I look back on my Torah portion, and I think how the clothes signified the holiness of the high priest. However, I believe the actions of the high priest are what truly made him holy. Shabbat shalom.
Jonah, you sort of set yourself up. I don't even know that I have to say anything now. But normally I would say now that one of the amazing values of becoming a bar mitzvah is understanding tikkun olam, but you just taught us how amazing that value is and how important that is to you. Jonah has taken on that value of tikkun olam, and done a mitzvah project. Even more than just his peer tutoring at school. He has taken on something, even in this difficult time, a way that he can truly make a difference in repairing this very broken world we live in. And so he's going to share with us now about his mitzvah project.
During my time studying Torah and Judaism, I've learned a great deal about the idea of being close to God and being close to the people around us. When I first began to learn about Jewish cultures and values, they made sense to me. However, I felt I could not put the ideas into practice. For example, the tzedakah, the idea of giving to the less fortunate. But now I have a greater understanding. I have learned that giving should not be something you do once, then stop, and rather, it should be something you do without reservation, and you should do it repeatedly. I think back to a time when I was downtown. I met a homeless mother and her daughter asking for money. I decided to give her $10. As the afternoon rolled on, I began to get hungry and looked in my pocket, realizing there was no money left. However, one afternoon wasn't going to hurt me. I would be fine. I would not die. I would not starve. I realized the mother and her daughter would be better off with the $10 than I would with my frozen yogurt. Giving is one of the most important things to do, especially feeding the hungry. That's why I chose to organize a canned food drive which donates to Contra Costa County Food Bank. My goal was to help more people in an even bigger way. In the past year, my family and I have organized 2 other food drives and are collecting and distributing food for a third time. Thank you, and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Oh my goodness, that was truly, truly amazing. I'm looking out at the faces here, and let me glance back. There's so much pride, I know, really just heading in your direction, certainly from my direction. I know from the cantors, I know from the other rabbis here at Temple Isaiah, from all of your teachers, from your family and your community. We are so proud of you and everything that you brought to this day. Of course, we know it's not just about this day, it's about the entire process that led to this day, many years of study. It took quite a lot. So Mazel Tov, Yasher Koach, it's truly, truly great. I want to just talk a little bit about, if it's okay, this process of studying with you and how much I enjoyed it. Jonah is just incredible because what I truly enjoyed was you were so open to learning, right? Not everyone has that quality. Some folks, they think they might already know it, or with any subject out there, right? We might just already know it, or we just try to apply what we already know to what's there. But you were really open. You wanted to, especially with all the different priestly items, you wanted to know what they were about, what they represented. But I saw it most in that story that you just told, actually, Jonah, your openness to learning. You talked about how tzedakah was something you couldn't quite, how do we do that? How does that really play out in everyday life? And I love the story that you just told about how it took really a personal connection, right? And that's another way that we are open to learning. You were open to learning in the everyday world. Seeing that mother, seeing that child, and seeing them face to face, and that really helped you figure out what is it that people need? What is it that people deserve? How do folks live in dignity today? Such an important lesson. So I really want to thank you for bringing that to the table. You've really impressed me with your open heart and your curious mind, your openness certainly to learning. And you needed it for these 2 Torah portions. Because just in case folks, I described an overview of the Torah portion earlier, but just so folks know, this is, I'll be honest, I'm a rabbi, but so I can say this, they're not the most riveting of Torah portions, right? There was no story, no character development growth or anything like that. It was real descriptions of what especially the priests, what they wore and how they took care of that, and how they were going to build a sanctuary, a portable sanctuary, this place for worship. So it wasn't the juiciest of material, but you dug right in. You asked all the right questions, and you kept asking those questions, which I just loved. And you were able to immediately make this connection to, even though we don't have that priestly clothing today, or we don't even have priests today, clothing is still important, right? It symbolizes something about us. But then you took it a step further, right? Sure, it's important. Sure, it has a place, but it's certainly not at the center of Torah, right? It's not the center of what we do. We talk about it, but you focused in on what what clothing reminds us to do, right? What our talit, what our tzitzit remind us to do, which is about how we act, how we, like you did, how you walk through the world and really see people and see their needs, right? Doing, acting, that is at the center of what it means to be not just a good Jew, but a good human being. And that is you. That is absolutely you. And it is so amazing to witness. It is not easy. I don't need to tell you this. It is not easy to become a bar mitzvah during a pandemic. Not at all, right? Looking at your family too. But you leaned into it. Could have turned away, could have said, no, not for me. But you didn't do that. You remembered what is most important, how you're going to act in this world, right? How you're going to still get in touch with Torah. And indeed, how even in the midst of a pandemic, you are going to bring goodness and kindness into this world, right? Through the canned food drives that you ran and the various other ways that you show kindness in this community. And most importantly, you brought you, authentic you, to the table. And that is just so incredible and amazing. These 2 Torah portions, they mark the very end of the book of Exodus. And we have a tradition when we get to the end of a book, each one of the 5 books of Torah, the tradition is to share 3 words. Those words are chazak, chazak, v'nit chazech, which means be strong, and let us be strengthened, or let us strengthen one another. And we say these words, they're kind of like another way to say congratulations, because you made it to the end of a book. But they're more than that, right? It's about strength when you turn a corner. It's about strength when you end one chapter and start a next. You don't start everything all over again. You bring everything you've learned from one stage and bring it to another. And that's just like this moment, I think, Jonah, right? As you move from, kind of what we consider to be childhood to young adulthood in our tradition. And you have brought so much strength and reminded us to have strength as well. So let me share. Chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek. You, indeed, Jonah, are so strong. And I want to challenge you to continue to bring that strength with you as you turn this chapter into this new day. You are a gift. You are a blessing. Speaking of gifts, actually, we have some gifts we're going to give to you after this service. Gifts from our community, various parts of our community. There's a Kiddush cup in there and so much more. We hope you open it up and use it. And speaking of blessings, we want to bestow upon you one of the most ancient blessings that we have in our tradition, a blessing known as Birkat HaKohanim, the priestly blessing. See, those priests still come around in different types of ways. A priestly blessing. I want to invite your parents to come and join you as Cantor Korn and I sing and share these words with you.
You can draw close together. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
May God bless you and keep you.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chunecha.
May the light of God's presence shine upon you, upon your family, upon this community, and may you know grace.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha ve'asem lecha shalom.
May God turn God's face towards you, towards this family, towards this community and world. And most of all, may you, Jonah, know shalom, know peace and wholeness. And let us all say, Amen.
Amen.
Amen, amen. And so we turn now to the concluding prayers for our prayer service this morning. We begin with the words of Aleinu. If you are able, please rise.
Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol, la'tet gedula le'otze breshit, shelo asanu kigoye ha'aratzot, ve'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
We remain standing as we turn to words of Kaddish, words of remembrance. We carry with us all of those who have come before, drawing strength from them and their memories as well. In particular, this morning, we remember Shirley DeSeppo, Phyllis Burzin, Lyle and Illuminata Orlando, and we also hold close the more than 2.6 million lost globally to COVID. including over 530,000 Americans. Indeed, may all of their memories be for blessing. We share now in words of Kaddish. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach cherutei ve'amlik malchutei, v'chayachon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei tekol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kari v'yemru Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lamei maya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei kudasha b'richu, La'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehi shlama Rabbah min Shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'el kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'el kol Yisrael v'imru Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru Amen. Once again, we say Mazal Tov Jonah, and we'll invite you and your family to come forward on the porch and face the camera so we can see. And immediately following the service, if you're on Zoom or you're here in person, stay on Zoom because we have a video to share immediately following the service. Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Yahelanu, 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 Olecho Yisrael, Yahelanu, Yahelanu, Olecho Yisrael, Yahelanu, Yahelanu, Olecho Yisrael, Yahelanu, Yahelanu, Olecho Yisrael. Once again, we'll say Shabbat Shalom, and as I say,
Shabbat
please
Shalom.
stay on the Zoom call, and we have a tribute video for Jonah in just a couple moments.
Mazel tov.